Welcome to News Insights. My name is Victory, and on this segment, we'll be talking about Obasanjo's criticism on Nigeria's debt profile. Engineer Kingsley, can you tell us what he said?
Well, I can't tell you all he said,
Part
but
of it. What do you think about it?
so yes, no. Essentially, I think he was interested in people realizing that he spent time and energy to ensure that Nigeria's debt was forgiven. Okay, he was advocating, and I think he is still advocating for a nation that is built on integrity. He was just saying we should model our growth and development after Singapore and probably South Korea. And truthfully, if you look at these two nations, they don't accept corruption. They don't pamper corruption. How come that our debt within 3 months increased to over 12 point something trillion naira? Do you understand? No. So why? And at the end of the day, all agencies of government that are driving revenue for us claim to have met their target. I think Senator Alero was saying it the other day also, that we met our target. How come we are borrowing? We exceeded our targets in revenue. How come we kept borrowing? You understand? So there was something I said here before. The other time we were talking about something concerning debt. I said, if my name is Nigeria, I am Nigeria. Let's say Nigeria is just an individual person. And I am owing this amount of money. And I'm spending this amount of money to service debt. Will I go on borrowing, or I will go on looking at those internal sources to generate revenue, like our solid minerals, or cutting cost of governance, ensuring there is no leakages, there are no corruptions in any of our agencies? Is that too difficult to do? How come we are not looking inwards? Why is it that we keep borrowing? How did we go from debt forgiveness to spending on so much trillions of naira in servicing of debt? How did we arrive at that? Obasanjo is strictly telling us that if we imbibe the culture of integrity, he added trust. He even gave example like South Korea and Singapore that will develop this nation. That is not impossible. Those nations were not so great in the last 30 years, and a lot has happened within the last 30 years.
Thank you very much, Nakese. Pastor Kingsley,
yes.
Please, can we hear your thoughts?
Well, there are a lot of things Obasanjo just said in very short statement. Number one, he said we are mortgaging our future. He said because the kids that are coming up are going to be so much in debt. Then he talked about how he tried to reduce them, but they gave him condition that if you can pay up, to a certain extent, we'll forgive you this one, which he did. But now it's with reckless abandon that we borrow. And internally, we are driving tax, we are driving revenues through oil. We have removed, subsidy. Do you understand? Yes. Now we have some of the refineries are coming up. The new one is coming up. The modular refinery is working. So there should have been some way of salvaging some of those leakages. Some of them would have been closed by now. But in spite of that, the thing is still going berserk. I mean, they're just going up and up. And this borrowing that we are doing is also pushing up the rate of dollar.
That's true.
Do you understand? Pushing up the rate of dollar. So the less you borrow, the less, the dollar is going to be pushing up. These things, they are symbiotic. They rub themselves, in what it is. So what he's saying is they shouldn't look at him. When you said criticism, I don't see it as criticism. I think it's something they should look into. But the funny thing about the government is that anybody that talk anything against them, they see it as criticism. And I think it's a complex problem. They should look inward. There are no economies in the world that grew from the outside. Like my friend normally said, Engineer Kingsley, he said, the grass is not greener where outside. The grass is green where you are. So we should look inside and look how we can drive revenue and see how we can export. Because the export brings us dollar. Because when the dollar becomes scarce, it pushes the drive for dollar more, and all that. Especially when we want to buy from outside. So these are some of the things they should do. They should make sure that the economy is working within and drive growth
Growth
from within.
Yes, that's true. Thank you very much. Engineer Kingsley, let's digress a little. Why do you think we keep on borrowing? Like,
Yeah.
what are we
I've
using
said
it
it
for?
here before. If you find nations that borrow very well, go and talk to America, go and talk to even China. Do you understand? What are we borrowing for? If we are borrowing for infrastructural development, for projects,
And we're seeing it.
And do you
yes,
think it's
that
not
are
the same
assets
thing?
to the nation. If we are borrowing to develop assets to the nation that will yield income for us through employment of our people and revitalization of various sectors of the economy, it makes sense. But look at what we are borrowing. We are borrowing for consumption. You know, we have government that is focused on consumption. As some of our have leaders. The other day, Dele Faro to me was saying that we don't have elite in Nigeria. How are they elite? How do you call them elite? Elite that are focused on consumption, elite that think that stealing government money is a way to become rich. I've always said it, that stealing government money is not a success story. I don't regard you as a rich man if all you have done in your life is to steal government money. You own houses, you can't say you are the owner. Do you understand? They keep spending our money on consumption. They keep borrowing to even pay workers' salary. Now, the question is, you remove subsidy, okay? Dollar you floated to, let's say to some extent, if not fully floated. The money recovered is for what? What are you using the money recovered for? Do you understand? So it's not about speaking against government. It's about being interested in Nigeria that works. Like I've always said, we have no other country other than Nigeria. And we want it to work. We are all stakeholders. Obasanjo himself is a stakeholder, even at his age. So we don't have clear-cut the infrastructural development that they are using this debt to fund.
Yeah, that's why he's angry. Will I say no? Or he's upset?
Yes.
Because they are now doing it for personal gain. It's not
Are they-
because
is it
they are
really
trying
a
to-
gain? This is are they gains just because they are
that's what they see it
short-sighted.
as.
It's
They
yeah,
call
they
it
only
yeah,
see
they
a
call it
part of
they
the
call it
picture.
personal gain. What gain do you have that you have 10 Range Rover, 10 G
not
wagon,
if you can drive
driving on
them
a
at
mud
all.
road,
No good road to drive
driving on a
anymore.
mud road, and you are so scared of your neighbor who is unemployed? That is nonsensical. We are telling them that they should close all the gap. Corruption is terrible. And let me also be transparent with you. Why are they so interested in IMF and all these policies? Have they ever helped any nation? Let me be honest again with you. There is a saying that when a medical doctor makes a mistake, a patient dies. But when economists makes a mistake, the nation perish.
goes oblivion.
So we should be interested in who run our nation. The people that run this nation should not be corrupt people. It should not be. They should not be corrupt people. What is their interest in taking this? Because I've not always believed.
So how do we ensure that?
Let me
people
tell
are
you,
not-
there are many ways to control you. Loan is a way. It's a neo-colonial. Let me be honest with you. It's a political thing.
Depend on that particular
It's
one.
a political
How
thing.
do we
Yes,
ensure this?
loan. They use loan to control
How do
you.
we ensure?
How do we ensure that these people that we are? He said something. Say we have to ensure
Yes.
that the people that we are putting there, they're not corrupt people. But how can we tell? It's not
I mean,
very possible to tell.
it's not written on your head that you are corrupt or you are not corrupt. When you get in there, we see your corrupt practices. I mean, they are aimed objective of what, for example, let's say Ministry of Women Affairs right now. They attend to the affairs of women. Am I correct?
Yes.
And they are budgeted to attend, do what the women want, bring up women, children, and all that. At the point that the money allocated to them is used for training in Ghana, and it's not used to alleviate women's poverty, we know what we should do. I mean, these things are not rocket science. A corrupt practice is a corrupt practice.
And you mentioned something before we started this segment.
Yes.
You said that people will keep stealing. That's
Yes.
why they put police so that they can
They
enforce.
can, yesterday, you were not here. I said
It's
something.
in human nature
Yes.
to be corrupt.
Yes.
And it's important, particularly, even before the election, we should look at their records.
Exactly.
Any adult, let me be honest with you, you have to be adult.
You have been very honest.
Yeah. You have to be adult to run for an election.
That's true.
And any adult has a record before. Any adult has a record behind him. When you want to hire an employee, what do? You look at their CV, question them based on their CV. But unfortunately, that is why I keep saying our electoral process needs complete overhaul.
Overhaul.
You understand? Identifying their corrupt practices is very easy, like he has said. But, but before coming to power, before getting them to be in the position, we should develop capacity to stop them. We should develop capacity to stop them by looking at their records.
It's very
but
simple.
Unfortunately, in Nigeria,
We don't look at those things.
they don't want us to say it. Do you know why? They don't want us to mention these two things: religion and ethnicity.
That's true.
It blinds us a lot.
They're easy to separate.
They use it, yes. And at the end of the day, a Christian doesn't go to a different market. A Muslim doesn't go to a different market.
They don't shop different.
Look,
Igbo man doesn't go to a different market.
I won't hire a 2-time governor of a state, a 2-time senator, a 1-time minister, and there is no change in his state.
And he has become richer.
And he has become richer.
For the fact that you have become richer, it's enough for you not to be.
The people have become more backward.
Nobody that has served government should become richer.
Because
you shouldn't.
People.
Being rich is for businessmen. If you want to be rich, go and run a business. The primary purpose of establishing any business is to make profit.
I will not hire a man that started a platform like DSTV. DSTV has been around with us for the past 20-something years, and they are still rolling and running, and they have become bigger. So a competitor started, ran only 3 years, ran it on the ground, his own business. Then I will not hire him. I will not do that. These are yardstick for hiring people. Then I will not a 2-time governor, a 2-time senator, a minister. I will not put him as secretary to the federal government of the nation. Who does that? No. The Bible says if you are faithful in small things, He will give you bigger things to handle. So many of them have been failures in what they have ever done. I'm telling you. And we keep on seeing it over and over and over again. At least for the executive arm. The same thing for the electorate. A senator that has failed should not get a place to run for another senator.
It looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, I don't know. When you see people who are as old as Obasanjo still being interested in us developing, it shows that there is hope for Nigeria.
Yes, there's hope for Nigeria.
But the hope will not activate itself. We, the people of Nigeria,
we have to activate it.
We have to decide that a corrupt person should be called out. Whether they come arresting you, that is why this case of Farotimi and Fababalala is making waves. You're saying we find you out eventually. Do you understand? So the people should stand against corruption where they can find it. How come becoming a governor will make you richer? How?
You now be so rich. You are building a
that you
private
now determine who to succeed. You now determine who to become governor elsewhere. I mean,
you open the vote of the government to sponsor a candidate. Those are corrupt practices.
And now the so-called EFCC will leave them and be going after. I'm not saying they shouldn't go after Yahoo boys. Exactly. Those ones have their own problems.
Yes,
but they have their own problems.
They have their own business.
Their messes. their issues to the society.
But they are smaller things compared to.
That's right. Priorities. What were you set up for?
Yes.
What was the primary purpose?
This is the root. If you start from the root,
that's right. The principal things. Yes. Because Obasanjo said something. Once the head
is corrupt.
Singapore and South Korea fought corruption from the head.
Yes.
The people they appoint to positions, they make sure they are people of character, not people who think government is a vehicle to make money. Do you understand me? But look at all our state governors. They are becoming richer. Look at our ministers. They are becoming richer. At the end of the day, EFCC will leave them to make the money. They will not start chasing. They will not start chasing them.
What are you doing? I'm into politics.
Politics.
Is that a trade?
Politics is now occupation.
Is that a trade? Yes.
Rather than people going to build their character in their private practice.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to elongate this discussion. Please keep watching Landslide News on News Insight on Landslide News to gain more insights on things happening in Nigeria. I'll see you next time.